couple of times, I remember this. At some point in the evening, when it was time to go home, my mother would come up to my father and would say, "Remember me?
Yes, yes.
I'm your wife."
That's
But
right.
for 72 or 3 or 4 years, they did that dance, and it all worked out very well. And we're thankful. So, you're on. You want to say something on screen?
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. The first one to thank is Chuck. Chuck envisioned this. He envisioned this. He planned it. He cast it. This has been like a 10-day event or longer. I don't know, but several generations. Neighbors, friends, family. It's pretty. I didn't appreciate his vision really until we were fully immersed in it in the last week. After Mom and Dad passed, he in January of 2022, she in late May of 2022. 4 months later, there were a lot of things to go through. And I know some of you appreciate that, like the things that are left behind, the things we leave behind. They're not crucial, but they give us hints about the quality of life and what was important and maybe what wasn't important. I came across a catch of letters typewritten on onion skin paper. Does anyone remember?
Yeah.
Typewritten, copy. Mom was a secretary. Professionally, from the time she was a young woman, 16, after her father died, supporting her mother and her younger brother's son, through World War II. This was her mission, before she and Dad got married. So these were the skills that she developed. So I'm finding these letters. I separated them out, and there's a couple of highlights I want to share. These are a few she wrote to me. Dear Janet, there's really not much news from here. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. I work all day at Baxter Labs and then work on Dad's books at night. And Dad had his own business. His dream was to have his own machine design die casting business. And that's all I can do right now. Dad is completely involved in his business, so he doesn't have the time or energy to think about much else. We hope this will level off soon so we can pick up our social life again. Never happened. And so years later, your dance magazine came. That's my profession. I'm a dancer. Your dance magazine came, but I want to read it before I send it on to you. It will be a few days before I finish. I never knew she did that. Sounds like you didn't have such a good week. But be patient. Some weeks are good and some are not, and that's the way it is with everyone. That was our nothing sugar-coated.
There aren't letter writers.
Yeah, we take care and keep smiling. But she, from the time that was written to me at college, I went to college first at the University of Cincinnati for 1 year. Then I realized I don't want to study academically. I want to go to New York and train and be a professional and do it. And it scared her badly. Dad was busy, but she was really worried about me, like, do not ride the subway at night. Don't let me hear you were on the subway at night. But she never tried to discourage me, or my life would have been very different. She never said, I don't think you should do that. She always respected our ability to make up our own minds, even if she thought we were off track, which I value so much to this day, and it has helped us a lot in parenting. Not that we're mistake-free, but respecting their wishes. This is jumping ahead. Where's the LeBeaus?
And Janet, what year was that letter? The first one you read?
1971. I have the LeBeaus in here. Sunday we're going to Eileen's house for another Hanukkah party. There was always another Hanukkah party. Dad may not be able to go. We're anxiously awaiting your arrival. Always references to the dog. And then what happened was a terrible accident at Lake Die Casting. Dad had his hand on a punch press. A trim press. Had his hand on the trim press, and it came down and it cut off his little finger. And they raced him to the emergency room with a little finger in a bag and couldn't reattach it. And still, April 1973, she writes me, Dad's hand is still very painful. I don't know whether or not he had the stitches removed yet. It will take some time until it is healed. And then she launches into, we had a very nice Seder. She really, really wanted us to be more religious than we are. But she tried, right? The LeBeau kids are really growing up. And it is fun.
These were our across the street neighbors.
LeBeaus, the LeBeaus. It is fun. LeBeau kids are really growing up. And it is fun for me to watch them and to remember how much they are like you and Chuck were at that stage of your life. You know, Natalie here is, if not one of Mom's dearest friends. And then lastly, some parents would not think to do this, but in 1974, I left the company I was touring with internationally, and she didn't know that, and she wrote to me, we've been talking about finances in the last few days. We're convinced you'll be needing a financial backlog. The country's in a recession, which we believe is going to get worse before it gets better. You're in a very unique position, a big part of a company that's employed and paid on a yearly basis. It's a luxury type of thing as far as audiences are concerned, the arts. That's the first thing they'll cut out of their budget. Right. These are definite babies, but it could happen. So she wasn't afraid at all to warn me. It's only my life. It's only my profession. It's what I do. Please sit down and do a little arithmetic. Are your living expenses really as high as your income? Who thinks about these things when you're an artist, right? Is Mark pulling his own weight? That was my boyfriend at this time. And then she went on about a recent TV program, what she was reading in the Chicago Tribute about the arts and support and all that. Ironically, I did leave that year. myself and 4 other people out of 10 left the company, and I went into my second career in education. But I always appreciate her for her honesty. She saw me for who I am, and it wasn't easy. I always knew I was loved by Mom and Dad both. I hope our kids can say the same. Thank you all for being here.
Janet and my mom had a great relationship, and I don't think you'd be where you are. My mom had pushed and pushed and driven and found and looked for all kinds of opportunities. And so, right on. So, excuse me. I'm gonna just wrap up. We're still eating dessert. I'm gonna eat.
Not after the one finger.
I'm gonna eat my dessert. Susan Pinky. Before I leave, I'm gonna eat mine. I don't. If anybody wants to say anything, now's the time. Otherwise, I'm just very thankful that we were able to do this and see how you do. Thank you.